about this here. My goodness. My goodness. Me and technology. Do we really get along? Really, really, really. Now, let's see. Yeah. See, this does. But it won't do it on the other laptop. Okay. Get rid of this. Oh, but it's not happening here. Maybe this is page is dead. No. It's not working. What the hell is going on? What? Change the time to 2. No, if it's, yeah, 2. Okay. I need to understand how it is. This is YouTube. Okay. Okay. Why is this not working? Okay. It's not working over here. This is so incredible. But it says I'm cross streaming. Somebody's seeing me somewhere. Hi, my name's Nancy, and I have a tarot channel on YouTube, and it's called Can Angels Fly Tarot. As soon as I can figure out how to go over there, I'll meet you there. Oh my God. Okay. Live streaming. YouTube Live. Can Angels Fly? Okay. Viewers. I got 4 viewers. But this is so irritating. Irritating. Okay. What haven't I done? Let me go here and see what's going on over there. Nope. Nothing there. I'm gonna push allow. Maybe I am there. There's nothing there. Let's try that. This is so. See, it's saying live right there, right here. Where am I at live? I'm somewhere live. Got 5 viewers, more than I ever have, and I can't find my way to y'all. Let me see what this does. Somewhere live. Got 5 viewers, more than I ever have, and I can't find my way to y'all. I think I got it. Let me see what this does. Somewhere live. Okay. Got 5 viewers, more than I ever have, and I can't find my way to y'all. I think I got it. Oh, I think I got me. I think I got y'all. I think so. Let me see. Let's see. Oh my God. Let's see if I can expand that. See, I got my other laptop working now. And now that it's working, it doesn't have the apps that I had set up. I had to redo the download of the Split X and setting it up. And just it's just insane. And now I can't see the, okay, I'm going to have to deal with this whole thing differently. I'm on a different laptop. Should be the same. Ooh, but it's not. And so my main interest now is seeing how I can use the chat. Hi. I can't see the chat, all of it anyway. All right, let's see. Brielle. Sherry, hi. Some stuff popping up. Yoni. Say, hey, love. High vibration Sunday. It's cold in LA, and it's also cold here in Detroit with the sun out. Yeah, and that's what this beautiful blue skies, minimal chemtrails, blue skies, beautiful sun, but it's cold. It's all get out. was going to church, and I'm shifting energies. How are you? I'm hanging in here. Hello, Patsy. How are you? Oh, you're absolutely welcome. You're absolutely welcome. I got to catch up on some of my work. Now, at this time, because I am having a hard time with this stuff, can somebody just say that you can hear me right now? I'm in real time. I have found the right page, and I can commence with the subject matter today. I want to pull my little hair out. Enough is enough. How can I expand this? Hi, Sherry. You hear me? Okay. And y'all see me too, right? Okay, I can go. Okay, very good. Now this thing, I don't even want to mess with this laptop too much. It get upset. This is my favorite laptop. I don't need it to get upset on me. Okay. Oh, God dang it. Okay, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave it alone. Look, I know my look, so I'm going to leave it alone. I just want to look for one more thing before I begin, which I guess I can't find. Oh, okay. I got it. I think I'm ready. Okay. Trying to get the chat thing where I can chat with you ladies and gentlemen and not have them overlap too much. One more try. Hi, Frost. How are you? Welcome in. As you can see, I'm leaving it alone. As you can see, the subject matter is selling spirituality. And for this particular subject matter, I will be referring to the Christian Bible. As I always state, I'm not here to convert anybody. I just need, for this particular subject matter, I just want to use, parts of the Bibles or stories from the Bible to help us progress through this video. I think it'll be easier for me because what I'm covering here in order to answer the question about is it appropriate to sell spirituality or not has a lot to do with, I'll say, our historical timeline. You know, when I say our, I'm talking about humanities. So hopefully everything flows well. I'm going to try to primarily read from my notes, and y'all know how that goes. So I'm going to get started. Y'all see, was there any other announcements I needed to make? I can't remember. But bless y'all. Bless y'all for dropping by. And you know, if you ever need a personal tarot reading, all you have to do is contact me at my email. My email is canangelsfly1@gmail.com. Now let's begin. Okay. The question is it appropriate to sell spiritual knowledge? My initial answer is yes. However, there are people that will argue the opposite, saying no. It is inappropriate to sell spiritual knowledge, or AKA spirituality, because it belongs to God and therefore it belongs to everyone. My response to such people is bravo, bravo, for supporting the idealistic ideology associated with what may have been the case if existence had not been distorted by the works of our ancestors. And I would move forward to explain how man's past works have brought us, humans, to this place of selling spiritual knowledge, aka spirituality. Currently, people are openly selling spirituality. Now again, y'all know I'm just trying to read my notes to help it go quicker, but sometimes it don't work. So I'm gonna just try to pace myself. Happy Sunday to y'all. And y'all know, no matter where I go, when I'm reading this stuff, just ride the wave with me, because y'all know I'm going somewhere with it. So, on. And I dropped all my papers, and they might end up out of order. So if something starts sounding a little crazy, I will point it out and try to put it in order. But I think I got it. So, the last thing that I was saying is that people are openly selling spirituality or spiritual knowledge. And I make this statement because we have been selling spirituality for a very, very long time. But it seems that society is not aware that spirituality has been being sold for a very long time. It's just now it's more open, or we're more aware of it now. So let me explain. Now, this is where me using the Bible, biblical stories come in. And so we can look at this as if I'm using a hypothetical case scenario. You know how I always say that. Hypothetical case scenario. So right now we're going to talk about the origins of selling spirituality. And we're going to start with the story about that proverbial Adam and Eve, and how they play into us selling spirituality as of today. Well, let me talk about Adam and Eve. Remember, one of the basic issues that arose when it came to the story of Adam and Eve is that they were ashamed, and they were naked and ashamed. Okay? So, what is nakedness? Well, nakedness really means being naive. Naivety about life. Naive is described at www.dictionary.com as a lack of experience, wisdom, or just judgment relative to, in this case, physical life and all the requisites associated with sustaining one's life, as well as the regulatory systems that runs our physical realm. An example of what I mean by running our physical realm is that we have this self-contained ecosystem. And so what am I saying? Why am I bringing up Adam and Eve? Because they are symbolic of not knowing anything about this realm. And lately you've been hearing me talk about the scripture that talks about my people will die for a lack of knowledge. That statement stood true for even Adam and Eve because they were naive to everything. Now, this is something that when I was in a Christian church, I didn't know about. And it was about the various books of the Apocryphon, the hidden books. And in those hidden books, various trials and tribulations dealing with this realm. And you might want to look it up and just read to expand your awareness. And the book is called Adam and Eve, and it's part of the Apocryphon series, I'll say. Anyway, I'm going to move on. We just covered nakedness, naivety, and they were ashamed. Ashamed is, the meaning is, unwilling or restrained because of fear, of shame, ridicule, or disapproval. So who were Adam and Eve actually ashamed before? I don't want to get myself twisted up. Try to cut it. They were ashamed before themselves relative to life. They were afraid of what would happen to them in life because they were naked or naive. They didn't know what it took to survive. Again, I refer you to those additional books on Adam and Eve that are considered a part of the Apocryphon series. So, I don't want to jump the gun on me. I'm trying to keep some order, y'all. So, Adam and Eve, biggest challenge was, as the first man and woman, were learning to survive. Learning to survive. And they learned to survive by what? Trial and error. Now, I want to make this statement here because I want anybody that watches this live stream or this video thereafter, after it's finished, is understand I'm not referring to the Bible as if it was real. Again, I'm not trying to convert anyone. It's just realize it's just an easy way for me to get this message across. So if you ride this line of thought with me, I would greatly appreciate it, and I'm going somewhere with it. Right now, I'm referring to the proverbial first man and woman, Adam and Eve, and how they came in here butt naked, and they were ashamed of their nudity. What that really meant is that they didn't have any awareness about this realm, how to survive in it. They didn't know it had rules and regulations. And they were afraid because they didn't know what they could do or could not do. And they had to learn this realm, this space, this place, and what was required of them to survive by trial and error. So just imagine coming up at a time where you had to live straight raw with nature, learning by trial and error. Eventually, of course, Adam and Eve had children. I don't know. What is it? Cain and Abel, whoever they were. Kind of irrelevant. It's just that they had children. And so, Adam and Eve's offsprings, as well as all preceding generations, were the recipients of the knowledge that Adam and Eve, or those that came before them, obtained in the course of their life. Let me read. All of the acquired information learned about what it takes to survive in this physical realm eventually was passed down to the next generation before the older generation died out. And so I'm going to call this passing of information from one generation to the next the passing of the torch. And what is the torch, really? Well, you think about it, it is the internal flame, the flame of life. In order to maintain the flame of life, the information necessary or needed to keep that flame burning had to be passed down from generation to generation. So, the next little Bible story is, subject matter I want to interject here is when in the Bible it says, be fruitful and multiply. That little statement. As the population on earth increased, there were more people to be taught. Remember, at first it was just Adam and Eve. They had to learn by trial and error. Then they took some notes. They end up having kids, and they passed that information down to their kids, and then their kids had kids, and they took that information and passed it down to their kids, generation after generation. And humans then obeyed the law of divine. They couldn't help it. They had sexual urges. So they were fruitful and they multiplied. And the number of people on this earth increased. Just ride with me. And so that means there were a lot more people that needed to be taught what? How to survive in this physical realm. Remember, today we're talking about the selling of spirituality. In order to cover the subject matter, we have to follow a line of thought like I'm offering here. So I'll continue. And since there were so many more people being born in the earth, it led to needing elbow room. And so they began to migrate all over the earth. More students, even more students. So guess what? We needed more teachers. So the information continued to be shared generation after generation by selected teachers or those that passed the torch down in order for the requirements to survive in this realm being taught to the students or to humanity. I'm trying to catch up, y'all. Not to interrupt, but I'm, thinking their nakedness represents being vulnerable, maybe. They were absolutely vulnerable, Yoni, exactly. But what were they vulnerable to? They were vulnerable to the elements. They were vulnerable to the creatures. I mean, they were just left, again, naked and afraid because they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to handle the situation. And over time, trial and error, and I guess divinity's help, they learned. So, I'm going to move on. Let me try to read y'all. Hi, Melissa. Hello. So, when I speak of how there were teachers and then there were students, there were people, teachers, that acquired the knowledge, kept the knowledge, and passed the knowledge on. And then there were the students, the new people born into this life. Well, of course, a teacher and a student has to have a what? A classroom. And so I just want you to identify this physical realm, this world, and its various land mass as classrooms. Going back to that old time story of Adam and Eve, the original classroom would have been where? In the Garden of Eden. But once they came out of the Garden of Eden and began to be fruitful and multiply, anywhere there were people, that was the classroom. And as humanity began to grow in enormous numbers and to migrate out to other areas or other land masses, those spaces or those areas too were classrooms. Wherever humanity expanded, the teachers were required to go there in order to teach, I'll say, survival tactics. So I'm trying to get a pace, y'all. So let me see. Ooh, I hope this is in order. So I call this the global school and the various classrooms that are available to students. That's the subtitle for this section. Global schools and various classrooms available to the students. The other day I did a live stream and I talked about the various continents. At this time, I'm going to talk about the various continents, the 7 continents, as schools. So, dealing with the expansion and the spread of humans all over the earth for the purpose of coming to understand why selling of spirituality is occurring. As you know, currently there are 7 continents or 7 large classrooms. The first is Asia, and the area of the classroom is about 17.21 million miles raised to 2 miles squared. Okay, 17.21 million miles squared. That is the land, I could say, mass of just Asia. And there are, as of 2016, 4.463 billion, with a B, people that occupy Asia. Going on to the next continent. I'm going to go through the continents fast so I can get where I'm going as far as this live stream, but right now I need to build. The next continent is Africa. And Africa land mass is 11.73 million square miles. And the population as of 2016 is 1.216 billion people. On to the next, South America. Its land mass is 6.888 million square miles. The population as of 2016 is 422.5 million. On to North America. The landmass of North America is 9.54 million square miles, and its overall population as of 2016 is 579 million people with an M. Antarctica landmass is 5.405 million square miles, and its population is a mere 1,106. Next is Europe. Its landmass is 3.931 million with an M square miles, and its population as of 2016 is 741.4 million with an M people. And last but not least is Australia. Its landmass is 2.97 million with an M square miles, and its population as of 2017 was 24.6 million with an M people. Why am I talking about the continents? It's because these are our initial classrooms before they are broke down even further. Now, when I say broke down even further, I'm talking about how, even though there's 7 continents, we discovered the other day in a live stream that there's 195 countries or nations. So we're talking about these major classrooms, continents, are broken down into small group classrooms. 195 little classrooms all over this world, learning one thing. And what is that? How to survive in this realm. But I'm going back because I want to offer an example of what I mean by these smaller grouped classrooms that exist on each continent. We're going to use the continent of Africa because it has the largest number of small little classes on it. And we're going to define those small little classes. We're going somewhere. I'm going somewhere with this, if you just ride the wave. Anywho, Africa has 54 small little classes on it, or countries. And I'm just going to name 11 of those small little classes that exist within Africa out of the 54, just so you get an idea. Africa, 11 of the 54 countries or small classrooms. Nigeria, Ethiopia, Egypt, it's the DR Congo, and I guess this Tanzania, South Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Algeria, Sudan, Morocco, and of course there are 43 others. Now, the various world classrooms. How can I say this? The various world classrooms, all those little classrooms, are the making of different people, worldviews, and life challenges. As the continents, now we're talking about the whole class, as far as North America class, South America class, Africa's class, what's the Antarctica's class, we're talking about the big overall classrooms. As continents, collectively, I guess, how can I say? Let me see. let's talk about as a continent. Has a shared land mass. Now, shared land mass. Sharing the same or similar natural resources, energy vortexes, atmospheric conditions, and relativity to astrological alignments and energies. I don't know if I read that right, but I'm talking about just one little land mass. I was using an example of Africa, and even though there are 54 small classes that create the whole continent of Africa, that overall classroom has shares in certain things. And not only do all those little classes, those 54 small little classes that make up the whole continent of Africa, that whole thing, share that whole land mass. It also shares the same or similar natural resources, energy vortexes, atmospheric conditions. Kind of focus on those individual classrooms, the little broke down ones, the little groups that exist on any given continent. Something. I missed something. I knew I missed something. I'm so angry when I drop my notes. Because something else goes here, y'all. Get something to drink. I got to look because I wanted to. Oh, I know what I did. Y'all. Okay. Before I move forward, I just kind of want to backtrack because you know how I was sharing how Africa has 54 countries within it, 54 little small classrooms on it that creates the whole landmass or the whole continent of Africa. Well, now I want to talk about each continent's number of little small classes or little groups, how the classrooms are broken up in groups to create the whole continent. And it's just so you know, you're aware, because I'm going somewhere with this. So Asia has 48 little classes all over it. Africa, as mentioned, has 54 little classes all over it. North America only has 2 countries or 2 classes over it. And then finally, Australia has 4 countries or 14 little classes that create that landmass. Why is it important? Because what we all have in common is that all we're trying to do is learn how to survive living in this realm. But I was saying that, where is it at? Oh, it's right there. I was saying that these various little classrooms that constitute a whole continent are the making of different people and worldviews and life challenges. And why is that? Let's see. Did I move something else out of the way? Or did I not finish reading? Oh, I didn't finish reading. Y'all with me? I'm just trying to pace myself, stay calm, because I was irritated by trying to get it here on this live stream. So, and I'm going somewhere with it. I'm going somewhere. So, let me finish this. Going on and talking about the little nations or the little classrooms that create the whole continent, a whole of a continent. Those little classrooms. Remember, I was saying it's the making of different people and worldviews and life challenges. And one of those little classes, just one, out of like Africa's 54, just one, like out of the 44 that has to do with Australia, one little classroom, has what they call a national identity. Wikipedia describes the national identity as a person's identity or sense of belonging to one state or to one nation. It is the sense of a nation as a cohesive whole, as represented by distinctive traditions, culture, language, and politics. National identity is viewed in psychology terms as an awareness of difference, a feeling of recognition of we and they. In short, those initial rules for survival don't in whole apply to us, that little group. Something has changed. We have learned that other things are mandatory to our survival. You don't deal with what I deal with. So let me try to clarify what I was trying to state there. That even though we have some basic, I guess, fundamental live on, each landmass has its own unique distribution of natural resources and challenges and atmospheric differences and relationship to the astrological energies that are taking place at any given time. And so, overall, you may not need what I need, or you may not deal with what I deal with. Yes, we have in common that we must eat, but we might eat different foods. Why? Because my landmass don't offer the same animals or vegetation that yours does. But it is true. It is uncontestable that we both must eat, that we all must eat. Me just eating two different things. And so what I have to deal with is not necessarily what you have to deal with. That is something that I need you to recognize before I move forward. So, let me see. I'm just going to read. At this point, we can rationalize that the lessons taught in the various world classes are in some ways different. Some basic or fundamental information relative to survival continue to stand, like having to eat or drink. What the heck is that? I don't even know what that is. Oh, stand firm. My writing. As they are incontestable, like I've already shared, food and water are necessary. Number 2, defense from the elements is necessary. And 3, every element in this earth can affect our existence one way or another. What do I mean by that? The challenges or threats that one faces in a particular region of the world, like Hawaii has volcanoes, is not something that maybe North America has to deal with. North America may have to deal more with earthquakes or something like that, or hurricanes. But that might not be so much the issue in Hawaii. And that goes from, that has to do or is in relationship to how what each continent has going on. Remember, there are 7 continents. And those 7 continents are broken down into 195 little classes. I move forward. Am I making this make sense, y'all? I'm trying to get there. I'm still building. And I know it's just a little slow and steady. Doing the Capricorn thing today, a little slow and steady. So I just want to come over here to find out if it's making any sense to you thus far, what I'm sharing. I don't expect you to, get the gist of where I'm going, but as long as you are, kind of understanding what is being presented to you at a point. Okay. So the topic today is selling spirituality. In order to explore the selling of spirituality, in order to identify if it's appropriate or not, I have to follow a particular line of thought in order to show you, to present evidence to you that it is appropriate to sell spirituality as of now. Moving forward. The next thing, remember I told you I was going to be referring to the Bible, Christian Bible, not trying to convert anybody, but just trying to follow a line of thought to end up somewhere in particular. And remember, all this is hypothetical. So let's talk about life-sustaining vital information, like in that story of Moses and I guess his brother or cousin Aaron, I think his brother Aaron, that story, life-sustaining vital information. And what life-sustaining vital information was offered in that story? Well, it was the 10 Commandments. And so what were the 10 Commandments really? I've already identified it was a set of life-sustaining vital information. The presentation of the presence of the 10 Commandments, it was a call back to who? Humanity, calling them back to the initial teachings about productivity, steady education, and how to survive and to live harmoniously with the life. The 10 Commandments was also a recall of the basic etiquette necessary to coexist successfully and to ensure what? Your survival. So, I just want to mess around a little bit with the 10 Commandments, so hopefully I can make this make sense to you. Again, I'm following a line of thought, and if you ride the wave with me, I promise you, we're going somewhere. Making sense? Okay. The 10 Commandments. Not trying to convert nobody, just riding a line of thought. Intro of the 10 Commandments. Read something like this. I am the Lord thy God. I am. Where have you ever heard that at? Yeah. In relationship to the very first zodiac sign, Aries. Aries' motto is I am. I'm going to have to do a video about I am. Anyway, I am suggests an individual, a soul, S-O-L-E, avatar, playing a particular role, R-O-L-E, and what role is that? The Lord. I am the Lord thy God. So what does Lord mean? Upon looking at dictionary, www.dictionary.com, Lord means a master or an owner of the I am. The owner of the I am. The individual, S-O-L-E, avatar. Owner of the I am. That is the self. Says again, I am the Lord thy God. Thy. What does thy mean? Well, guess what? Thy means possessing ownership of yourself. What about the word God? It means almighty, all-mighty, meaning capable, or creator, creator of your destiny, or master, master of the world, your world. And God also means power, talking about ability. So, when this 10 Commandments, God opens up and with his introduction, I am the Lord thy God. It was talking about a person being a steward, a master over themselves. As far as, let's go on the 10 Commandments, because I'm going somewhere. As far as what? It says the first commandment was, thou shalt have no gods before me. And what does that mean? Don't let nobody mislead you. Next one. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images. Don't worship nobody, especially not like superstars or other socially influential folks, just because they influential. Next thing. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. You, yourself, should not be prideful. Now going back, I am the Lord thy God. That means that you are a master when you accomplish these things. Next one, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Now, in a prior live stream, I covered the Sabbath and what research revealed that it actually is. And so I'm just going to go ahead and give an interpretation of this particular commandment, which means it says, I am, talking about you, the one who's supposed to be the master, keep spiritually pure. For you know, if you do not, there is a day of reckoning. Go ahead and research it. Tell me I'm wrong. Okay, going on to the next commandment. It says, honor thy father and thy mother. Respect your parents. Learn the survival techniques and execute them. And it's interesting, I just had to write drugs on the side, how drugs have infiltrated society and led parents astray, and then the kids lost respect. But that's a whole nother video I have dealt with and probably come back to another time. On to the next commandment. Thou shalt not kill. The goal is to sustain life, right? And to live for you, it is to live for you as well as others. Thou shalt not kill. The whole purpose of this line of thought is to survive. So, I want to move forward. Next commandment. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Why shouldn't you commit adultery? Because if you do, you're going to provoke somebody to do what? Kill you. Okay. The whole purpose here is to survive. Going on. Thou shalt not steal. Why? Because you're going to provoke somebody to kill you. Anyway, on to the next. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Why? Why? And what is it? What does it mean? The first, what does it mean? Not to bear false witness against thy neighbors. You shouldn't lie. And then the question is why? Because they may kill you, or you call somebody to kill them. Remember, it's about survival. The next thing is, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, and I'm putting these two together, thou should not covet the neighbor's wife. And what does that mean? It says, don't long for what you do not have because somebody else has it. This will lead you to a state of dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction, sadness, depression, and hate. Heck, dissatisfaction got a whole tribe of baby kids. So I'm going to move forward. Still talking about these 10 commandments. And the last thing that is written relative to the 10 commandments is, you shall set up these stones which I command you today. I'm going to recite it. You shall set up these boundaries right now, bottom line, in order to ensure your ability to coexist successfully and to increase your opportunity for survival. End of Bible. Bible quoting. Okay, so I'm going to read on. I know by now you are absolutely wondering, what does all of these biblical children's stories have to do with answering the question, is selling spirituality appropriate? Well, at this time, I have to ask you once again to, ride the wave with me. Trust me. If you know me, you know that I'm going somewhere with this. So, even with what they say, it's a method to my madness. We had it somewhere. And we almost there. Let me take another little drink. So, why have I chose this method to explore this topic of if it is appropriate or not to sell spirituality? It is because the method that I am using, like the Bible, little children Bible stories, whatever, actually is helping me to structure my thoughts and my questions, and ideas. And it actually ends up showing humans' progression through life in order to expose why it's appropriate and necessary to sell spirituality at this time, period, in the history of humanity. Now we get into the more, I guess, mature stuff. And the next thing we're going to talk about is humanity's current situation. And now, right here, I kind of cut to the chase, I'll say. I started cutting to the chase because I had been writing for so long. And so I'll try to make it make sense. So, based on all of the vital information that humans have acquired, I could say thus far, it has allowed us to do what? Survive, to prolong life, and to, of course, technologically advance. All of this I consider vital information, vital life-sustaining information. So, let me see what I have here. Humanity's current situation due to the need to fulfill the demands of humanism, such as the satisfaction of life-sustaining bodily functions, survival, reproduction, migration. I'm going to try to make it make sense in a minute. The next thing, still talking about humanity's current situation, is due to the need to understand the demands imposed upon a group or group of people based on their location, when we're talking about the various continents and the countries, the little small classrooms. And still dealing with humanity's current situation due to the need to have keepers, amassers, and distributors of vital knowledge, life-sustaining knowledge, over time has led to corruptness. What am I saying? Let me try to clarify. That at a particular point in the time of the history of humanity, humans were so busy trying to fulfill the demands of what I call humanism, such as having to satisfy, our bodily functions and different things like that, the need to survive, reproduction, migration. At a point in time, man was overwhelmed with, or humans were overwhelmed with, understanding the changes necessary, the adjustments they had to make based on their area, their location, what that landmass offered them. They had to learn. They had to live still by trial and error to figure out, how do we survive in this region. We were, preoccupied with that. And also, we were preoccupied with making sure we kept records, because we couldn't keep going back to square one. And as a result of all of these things we were focused on or preoccupied with, we were preoccupied because this was vital information that we needed in order to help us sustain our lives. Well, over time, it actually led to corruptness. Now we're going to talk about how it ended up leading to corruptness. And the reason why we're exploring this line of thought, because we are answering the question about if it's appropriate to sell spirituality or not. So I read. In order for select people to focus their attention specifically on keeping, amassing, and distributing vital life-sustaining information for a massive number of people, a specific group had to be entrusted with those duties. The duties of what? Keeping, amassing, and distributing vital life-sustaining information, while being exempt, meaning they didn't have to deal with it, of fulfilling or satisfying any other of their mandatory duties associated with their personal survival. Therefore, those specific people that were chosen or selected and entrusted with keeping, amassing, and distributing vital life sustaining information. Well, those people's well being was, guess what? It was outsourced to other members in their community. Others harvested for them. Another hunted for them. Even another cooked for them. And even another washed their garments, etc. And why was that? It was so that those specific people can focus wholeheartedly on keeping records, amassing more information, and distributing it. That right there is where corruption stepped in. Another thing I like to say about what I just shared, when I was talking about how specific people are selected or elected and entrusted with certain duties, that was the big building of these, what we call now, secret societies, corruptness. Then, remember, their personal survival, those things that they needed to do that were outsourced to other people to do so that they could focus on their stuff, the outsourcing, all them people that harvested for them, hunted for them, cooked for them, and washed for them, began the development of our little mundane jobs. Okay. So to keep going. Okay. Now, this system of outsourcing and individuals' personal responsibility continued to spread in societies. The larger the society, the more outsourcing that took place. More examples of initial outsourcing are: specific people were farmers because they were proficient in the field of agriculture. Agriculture is defined by www.dictionary.com as the science, art, or occupation concerned with cultivating land, raising crops, and feeding, breeding, and raising livestock. The farmers were exempt of fulfilling or satisfying any other mandatory duty associated with their own personal survival. Therefore, the farmer's well-being was outsourced to other members in their community. Another built their houses and barns, and another made their clothes, and another kept them up to date about amassed information. That was the space, once again, where corruptness stepped in. Moreover, the distribution of duties and outsourcing of personal responsibility covered every field of knowledge, every line of work, and every member of any given societies in their lives, until there was the need for advanced government systems. Advanced government systems. Reading on. The government systems tied every aspect of life and the people back together with calendars, rules, regulations, ordinances, and laws. The government developed various departments to oversee all the aspects of the social structure by appointing officials to be knowledgeable and proficient over a particular aspect in the now monstrous social structure, and implemented financial currency to see and track the exchange of resources. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about how there was a time period in the history of humanity where humans chose to say, hey, you focus on this because you're good. And long as you focus on this important thing because you're good, I'll pick up the slack for you over here in this other part of your life. And that type of exchange or setup or agreement was widespread. It spread to cover all of humanity and all of the members. And because everybody became detached from their own personal responsibility of what? Survival, that there had to be an organization or institution that arose in order to tie everything back in together. It was a time that, going back to them 10 commandments, where it says, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. People were sleeping with other folks' wife. Or thou shalt not steal. People were stealing other people's stuff. So eventually they didn't want to do business with the next person. And so they had to create the government structure in order to stitch everything together, to make laws and rules and policies and policing and all that kind of stuff. And because, well, I'll say this, certain people didn't want to work with the next people. They didn't know where the resources were going. Everything was just separate. That they introduced, when I say they, I'm talking about the government, introduced what we now know as money or currency. So right now, I want to talk about currency because it plays into why we are selling spirituality as of now. And we have been for a mighty long time. Okay. The World Atlas, another source I got online, reports as of June 2018, there are 180 currencies in the world. I'm just going to use the U.S. dollar or our currency as an example. Now, what is currency for? Pay attention to the word current, the way something flows. So, currency allows the government to see and track the exchange of assets and resources within, my example, the United States. How can I say this? Because I want to make it clear before I move forward. These 180 currencies that exist in this world each have their own look. They're very unique. And so if I don't even have a dollar right here at me. A U.S. dollar, we know it when we see it. And that U.S. dollar reveals to us the movement of natural resources and services in the United States. We can see how everything is going, who's spending what, where, when, and why. But then it serves another purpose. Because that same currency, any given currency, allows the global eyes, the big dogs, to see and track a country's movement or involvement with our resources, global resources, on the global market. Like, for instance, if there are 195 countries and there are only 180 countries, if the United States buys something outside of the United States, then anybody outside is going to know, outside, when I'm talking about the other countries, the other 6 continents, will know that America is making the purchase because of its currency. It's like a trademark. Hi, Alicia, how you doing? And so I move forward. Because today, Alicia, we're talking about, is it appropriate to sell spirituality? So I move on. So we're talking about now, everybody's outsourced their personal responsibility to tend to their survival. And how the government has been created to stitch everything back together. And then they want need to see where everything is going, because it's this social breakdown that has happened. And they create a currency so that they can see, so that there could be an alternative mean to do exchange with another, because they might have slept with your husband or wife or stole something from you, so you can go around and about it another way. I was just thinking. Anyway, so in all of this, people being granted the opportunity to just focus in on a particular area of interest in order to just, be proficient in it, get it right. This is important. We can't lose this information. All of that led or opened a void up, and that void was filled with corruption. So at this time, my next subject matter I'm going to deal with briefly, because I was trying to cut to the chase now, even more, is how the right hand, this is my right hand, doesn't know what the left hand is doing. Corruption. Cutting to the chase, and I'm present some states that help to corrupt humanity's obligation to attend to any and all duties and responsibilities that allow them to sustain their lives. What am I saying here? Going back over what I just said, that there are certain things that opened up a void and it was filled with corruption. Certain things is outsizing one's personal responsibility, or the people holding the top managerial positions, those that carried the torch. Now we call them the secret societies. How they just began to distort that information or withhold vital information from the rest of society or the rest of humanity, as well as how members in a society are at odds with each other and unwilling to participate in fair exchange. And remember, going back to the 10 Commandments, it said, remember the Sabbath. And I was saying that the Sabbath means, hey, what did it say? You stay spiritually pure, because you know that if you do not, there is a day of reckoning. And so I move forward. I'm almost done, y'all. Yeah, I'm almost done. I'm still going somewhere with that. All of that was just my build. I'm going somewhere with this and answering the question, is it appropriate to sell spirituality? So now, we have begun to sell spirituality. We've been doing it. When I say begun, we started selling spirituality back there when I was saying all that system was set up. So we have begun to sell spirituality. Specific people now work specific fields and are masters in that field. But you know what happened? What ended up happening? People began to lack knowledge about other aspects of life that were or are equally as important as the field that that person was over or they maintained. So they had to do what? They had to buy their way into the other fields of knowledge. Does that make sense to you? That if at a particular point in the history of humanity, we dealt out fields for people to concentrate on, because it was just that important so it could be done right, so it could be cataloged and kept and handed down from generation to generation, and we could build upon it. But even though we came up with that as a way to overcome our limitations and our challenges, at the same time we were giving up our ability to have a broader understanding of this realm and what it means to, or what is necessary for us to survive. We are dealing with that nowadays, or currently, unlike I believe any other time in the history of humanity. And I say that because right now, if we did not have the amenities, I think it's called, that we have, such as a a stove where we can just turn a knob, or refrigeration system that is always cold with Freon and things like that, we probably wouldn't know how to build a fire, or build a stove with stones, and how to start a fire without gas, or we wouldn't know how to store our food in the hotter months. We don't know about burying food to keep it, or jarring, and various things that techniques we've come up with to overcome our challenges. All of these challenges we needed to overcome. We had to, because our survival depended on it. And so today, many of us, although proficient in a particular area, might hold some degrees or accolades in a particular area, are not knowledgeable in other areas that are equally as important. And so we do what? We buy our way into gaining some of that knowledge. And I say some because you're only going to get a portion. You're not going to get it all. You get some focused piece. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that, and I did a live stream or video about the various branches of knowledge and how they are all the components that have to do with this physical realm. All the rules and regulations that have been acquired, cataloged or recorded, and are being added unto as we speak. I'm slapping again. I apologize. I'm going to go back and be mad at myself. So I bring that up because when I talk about how many of us are proficient in a particular area, but don't know the other area in the school system, I'll say in higher education or in fields of work, that is called interdisciplinary fields that work with each other. And an example of that is like, I'll say the almanac, because the almanac deals with astrology, the placements of planets and phases and things and the seasons, as well as agriculture. Because you need the right weather to bring about the harvest, an abundant harvest. And so those are interdisciplinary fields. Another possible field, an example is like that of math and science. They usually go hand in hand, those kind of things. And so I just wanted to mention that. Now I'm going to read on because we're almost done. And it says, and not only that we have a focus in a particular area but lack in other areas, is that we also had to deal with the development of the government system. So now a person's focus is concentrated on a particular field or area of study that can do what? Sustain our lives. And then here comes a government system that's trying to stitch everything back together. And then here comes this economic currency in which the government can watch how the resources and the services flow. But yet, no one still returned to dealing with their own personal survival. Hi, Jordan. So the combination of these systems created various strong-standing departments or agencies that manpower was created out of. Let me clarify what I mean. What I'm saying, when the original government came up, we didn't have all these little sub-agencies. Like you got the military, the police department, you got the state department, you got the federal department, you got the city department, you got all of these various departments. And initially, the manpower that created these various departments and organizations were run by, going back to those that were more proficient in a particular area or field of study. Sometimes I refer to them as geniuses. Why were they genius? Because they came up with the Illuminati. They took all of the information, kept it from themselves, distorted it, and then dispersed it to the rest of humanity. You always hear me say, they live in alignment with divine law. And so I'm moving forward now, and I'm talking about all these little other agencies that have popped up down through the years, hundreds of years they popped up. And who fills those seats? Fills those seats. We're not talking about, hi, banana, I spread by propaganda, me, okay. Oh, banana, you slippery. Ha! Well, we got a troll. We moving on up here in this YouTube world. All right, sit down, banana, and learn something. Okay, so when these, okay, we're talking about the more, I say, enlightened ones. Since Illuminati is supposed to be about being somewhat enlightened, and the more enlightened ones are now in seats and power of authority, and those various departments and organizations are being put in place, dropped in place, creating the structure, expanding the structure. I have a video here on YouTube talking about it, and it's called human, something like human something to puss. You can find that human something to puss, something strange, something made up. Well, I think Nancy intelligent enough to know. Thank you, Alicia, for that vote of confidence. And so, who sits in those seats? Well, next, I'm going to try to use like, I'll say like a doctor. Because a doctor is just not some slob. I mean, they went to school, they learned, they studied medicine, they studied the anatomy, the cadavers, everything. And so they got proficient in a particular field, and that field is of medicine. And so they sit in a higher seat as far as medicine. But then under them, there's the nurse. The nurse is just almost as educated. But after them, then it becomes the, what do you call it? You have record keepers and assistant nurses and assistants to the assistant nurse, you know. And so what am I saying? We are the people that began to fill these various seats up. And I guess I have to say it, is that there's a portion of society that lacks education or lacks opportunity for whatever reason. And over time, see, I'm talking about over the history of humanity, that it came a point where even if a person didn't have a natural tendency or was not capable of filling those more demanding duties that were associated with sustaining society, sustaining our lives, I'm sure they had a role to play in society. Maybe something a little more simple, maybe something that consisted of a little more hard work. But even they too, one day had to buckle down or kneel to this structure, this growing structure. And those people today usually have the very what? Mediocre, mundane jobs, lower paying. And remember, a lot of things are generational, but I can't compress all of that information in here. I'm already starting to lose it. So I'm going to move forward so I can finalize this video. So the next thing is, so we came to sell what we had. And what we had was a specific area of knowledge. We knew something in relative to a particular area of knowledge. And to get what we wanted, which was what? Another area of knowledge. So we began to do what? We came to sell what we had in order to get what we wanted. So here we are today, selling the information we have been exposed to for access to another area of knowledge that we know little or nothing about. or for some other form of currency that finalizes our exchange with another. Let me read. Did you know when I'm trying to read in improv, it just don't work? So I'm gonna read that a little bit. Okay. So here we are today, selling the information we have been exposed to for access to another area of knowledge we know little or nothing about, or for some form of currency that finalizes our exchange with another. Go on. The question still remains, though, is it appropriate to sell spiritual knowledge? What do y'all think? What is really spiritual knowledge? Maybe I should have asked that a little earlier. What is spiritual knowledge? Well, based on the line of thought used to create the contents of this video, spiritual knowledge is suggested to be any and all information humans have obtained since their beginnings that has helped them continue to survive. Survival denotes that the spirit of a being is able to successfully stay anchored in a physical vessel as long as the appropriate measures are executed in a timely manner. The fusion of spirit and physicality, although temporary in nature, does suggest a level of importance. Now, what was I just saying? I'm saying that, do we even know what spirituality is? Do we? What is it? Because it seems like many of us don't even know that we have a spirit. And so I personally moved to kind of define or clarify what spirituality is. And I was just saying, hey, I believe that spirituality has to do with learning what we need to learn about this physical realm and about ourselves in order to help us keep our spirits in our body. And how the physical, or the spirit being fused with the physical, is what spirituality is about. What does it take? And relative to astrology, I want to throw that in there, because astrology allows us to focus our attention back from the physical and to remember that we are spiritual as well. We have a spirit being in us, and that spirit being must be tended to. Spirituality. Is it appropriate? Hi, Lisa. Hi, Sammy. To sell spirituality. I'm going to move forward, and I think I'm on the last thing. So, breaking out of the shackles is what I'm calling this. Breaking out of the shackles, y'all. What are the shackles? What are the shackles? Well, the shackles I describe as the governmental hold on the individual's acquired knowledge or area of study or expertise. This is a challenge at this point in time in the history of humanity, breaking out of governmental shackles. So let me describe what a governmental shackle is. At this point in time in the history of humanity, if you want to know the truth about this realm, if you want to become a doctor, if you want to become a lawyer, if you want to become a scientist, if you want funding for some research, you have to go through some government organization, one way or another. You have to apply for grants. You have to get to a certain level of intellectual capability, meaning go to higher learning, education, doctorate school, and all that stuff costs a whole lot of money. And again, we have public schools, or what do you call it? Public schools versus private schools. It costs money either way. Either one of them costs a lot. One costs more than the other. One costs a whole lot. And my whole point is that, of course, we want to become proficient in a particular area, such as being a doctor. Why? Well, some people just love medicine and it's their passion. But then there are other people that have been really concerned about their physical well-being in this world. They don't want a mediocre, mundane job because they know they're not going to make enough money. They know they're not going to make enough money to have health insurance and all the various insurances that we need to get. They know they're not. So they go for the best jobs. IT techs, doctors, lawyers, dentists, those kind of things, podiatrists, whatever, optometrists. They can make the money. And they can meet the demands of this life and live, reasonably comfortable. But to do so, many of these people, including myself, pay a whole lot of money or get in a whole lot of debt. Government shackle. So, who owns you? Who owns the knowledge that you acquired? You got it, but you pay for it for the rest of your life. You're indebted to them. You work for them. What am I talking about? I'm talking about how we are at a point in time in the history of humanity where we are attempting to break out of the shackles the government hold on the individual's acquired knowledge or area of study by doing what? Selling spirituality. Selling the truth about this realm. Selling the knowledge that we've acquired that costs us oh so much. You know why? Because every month, many of us get a bill in the mail and they say, pay it now. Pay it now. Pay it now. So that is why many people are selling spirituality. And it's important to know that spirituality has to do with the rules to this realm, has to do with that which keeps your spirit, helps to keep your spirit in your physical vessel for its appointed time. Is selling spirituality appropriate? At this point in time in the history of humanity, yes, it is. And it will continue to be as long as this established government, I know it's going through a breakdown, but as long as this established government and all its social structures still stand, and those bills are due for a house, education, some groceries, transportation, food, water, people will sell spirituality. Let's see. Oh, I want to say the master. What am I talking about? That master. I'm talking about this whole structure that's been established. Referring back to that video I made called Human Something 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 last year. That one, that monster. That big old Humapus, whatever called a Humapus, demands to be fed. And understand this, that creature that we all create demands to be fed. And will threaten or does threaten or is threatening humanity with death and destruction if we don't feed it. So yes, people will sell what we call spirituality. Now, this is another thing I want to, I'm going to finish. I'm going to make this statement. And I'm smacking again. Let me see what y'all talking about because got my last little 3 lines I'm going to read. Woo. Is it? Okay. And y'all talking about, let's see what Banana talking about. Banana, I'm a government agent and I don't think anything you say is true. Go on, Banana. You spreading propaganda. All right, Banana. I'm not a troll. Okay, Banana. Illuminati died years ago. Gotcha, Banana. I apologize, but I don't think she is right. I think she is misinformed about some of her things she talks about. All right. Well, go ahead and open up your own channel and put out the truth the way you know it so that I can see, so that I can compare. Thank you, Banana, for dropping by, and thank you for sharing. I really appreciate you. Now, Jordan, okay. Alicia, Well, I think Nancy is intelligent enough to know what she's talking about. Okay. Thank you, Alicia, once again. Hi, Sammy. I'm trying not to smack. Banana, if it doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't mean it doesn't resonate with others. Thank you, Sammy. And Lisa, okay, I got. And then back to Jordan. Yes, it's time to break free. No more being controlled and oppressed. Hopefully, hopefully, hopefully. And in this, and following this particular line of thought, I kind of see through the selling of spirituality this resistance or this change that is taking place, because it's like saying, okay, like these people, I haven't finished, but these people that have, again, worked so hard to gain or acquire knowledge and are really proficient and owe a lot of money and things like that, they're constantly paying this debt off, and they never really own they got the information, so can't nobody take it from them. But they don't have the time to maybe teach it to another, just to practice it because it's their passion, because they got to work for this system in order to pay back their debts or keep their lifestyles up. And that actually seems like a person, if, like, example, medicine was their passion, that they would become disenchanted with it due to having to pay the system, owe the system, maintain the lifestyle, rather than practice the medicine and enjoy their life with whatever resources they bring in from, doing their thing. And so what I'm saying is, when we start seeing, now that we started seeing people, charging or selling the part of spirituality that they know about, and they are giving lectures and traveling and, I guess, what do you call it, having little clinics, I'll say, it shows that people are breaking free from the structure. And a lot of the stuff the astrological energy suggests, and it's popular talk, is about becoming an entrepreneur. See, that goes with that as well. Becoming an entrepreneur, taking what you know and presenting it to the world. It's like cutting out the middleman. It seems like I'm seeing a cutting out of the middleman, and that goes directly with our current social structure beginning to break down and crumble, but the selling of spirituality. Let me finish because I want to make another statement. So, what I wanted to just make note of here, so that we're all aware, is that our population is composed of various type of people. Still talking about selling spirituality. And they are the learned, the book learned, really educated, kind of folks. And then those others that are have great potential and a natural readiness or a predisposition to master a particular field, but they are not realized due to some worldly bias. I kind of fit into that bracket. Yes, I have a little education, but I don't hold the papers and the accolades. I don't hold them. And so I won't say that I am a professional as far as that, graduate. I don't hold a PhD, those kind of things. And so I don't fit in that bracket. But I do fit in this bracket of a person with great potential, or having a predisposition to be a master in a particular field. So that's another type of person. And then we have this third person. Actually, we have four. So I have to talk about that was 2, 3, and 4. 3 are the sheeple, the people that are asleep, that just, I guess, the dreamers. I still guess that's a gift. It's just, how does it fit in? Just dreamers and not really into any particular field or interest, or don't hold a passion in some way. I don't know who they might be. But then there are even the people that just don't have the natural intellectual capacity to fulfill a particular critical role in society. And so the question I pose then is understanding that, looking at the fact, number one, that spirituality is for sale. And now we know what spirituality is based on what Nancy has shared. Is who do you get your updates from? Who do you get your information from? Do you go to the people that hold the PhDs? Can you go to the people that hold the PhDs? And the reason why I say, can you go there? Is because usually, again, these people have really achieved. They have come through our social structure. They were successful. They got the PhDs and all the various accolades. And so they're not going to come cheap. They're not going to come cheap. Why? Because they have grown accustomed, number one, to a particular lifestyle. Some have this sense of entitlement because they came up through those ranks successfully. And then others have been what I call scarred through the various biases that exist. And I was talking about them the other day. Some have misjudgments about the rest of humanity or society. Some are egotistic. And of course, we have some of those professionals or those very proficient people that are just as passionate and innocent as little children, and those, you'll go to. But who do you go to for your spiritual updates? Then there are people like me. And I have to say this, I don't know how this is going to come out. I shared that I live in the hood. And again, a lot of people have misconceptions about people that live at or below the poverty level. And I say that because as a native Detroiter, I done seen what some might look at as, we're going to call it thugs, or what they call women, thugs and thoughts. And I've seen some of the most, what was the word I used? Naturally ready people I've ever met in the world. And I've met a large variety of people. I've had some extensive world travels. And so what am I saying? I'm saying these people that I speak of, including myself, have a predisposition to be masters in a particular field. I've watched in the hood with a person with minimal tools build things from scratch. No layout, no blueprint. Get up one day, say, I just want to do that. I watched some amazing, I'll say, herbalists do their doggone thing. No formal training, but they got it. And they rank up there, damn near, with those that did 8 to 12 years of school. Interesting. And I'm going to say a lot of them under 30. And in my age bracket, but a lot of them under 30 that I witnessed and experienced. So I pose that because, I mean, this is raw talent. Who do you get your spiritual updates from? Spirituality is on sale. And the reason why I'm promoting this particular bracket of people, these people that are more have a greater potential or natural readiness and a predisposition to be a master, is because it's raw. It's raw. It's real. It is probably a pure state that has its blemishes because, remember, many of these people haven't been realized or due to some worldly bias was not able to move forward and successfully establish themselves based on the system. So I guess what I want to tell you, don't leave out or dismiss this particular bracket of people, knowledgeable people that possess vital life sustaining information and would probably be more willing to share it with you, and of course for a lower rate, but what's the word I'm trying to use? Share it with you more freely than a person that has grown accustomed to a particular lifestyle. Just a moment. Hello? Am I in a house? I am, but I'm live. What do you want? Oh, we did knock on the door. Now you got Scrappy barking. Don't procrastinate. Come knock on the door so he can let you in, so he can stop barking, and then you can find me something to eat. Don't leave without saying goodbye. Bye. I apologize, y'all. They gonna see I done went through this whole live stream uninterrupted, but they ain't gonna let me finish one. They ain't gonna let me finish one. Just totally uninterrupted. And so the last thing I wanted to talk about, and then I'm going to let y'all go so y'all can go out, get your Sunday, day on, going to the show, out to eat or whatever, visiting, is that when I was talking about these shackles coming off of people's talents, freeing them up to be what? Entrepreneurs. These people are taking it by force. Becoming entrepreneurs and using their talents for themselves and not for this established system. Is that this is a part, I've been trying to point out new parts of the paradigm. This is a new part of the paradigm. And this is what will define a portion of the new paradigm. However, it also consists of this imbalance that is emerging. And imbalance has to do with, again, who do you get your spiritual updates from? Especially, okay, as this new paradigm come into existence. As far as, and what do I mean? Because now we understand what spirituality is. Spirituality is tending to the spirit within you. How do you attend to the spirit within you? Well, astrology is one, especially Vedic astrology, because it helps you get in tune with yourself, to know thyself, to understand what you're going through. Then we understand also that spirit don't have no for itself any physical form, but your body does, and your body suffers wear and tear while you are here. And so we have our reflexologists and our refresh coaches and our masseuse and different things like that, water therapy, who knows, that kind of stuff. Specialists, entrepreneurs, expertise. And then again, we're talking about spirituality. So we're talking about anything that helps to sustain your vessel in a healthy manner so that your spirit is willing to stay there longer. But while your spirit is there, you can't ignore it. So you need to have what? A spiritual, what do you call it? The spirit like guide or therapist or something like that. I just had it. See, when they throw me off, it's over with. And so what am I promoting here? I'm promoting the selling of spirituality for an appointed time. The end of that appointed time depends on the day, the hour, the time period in the history of humanity when we don't have a standing government system over us with shackles, and we don't have to pay them their portion. Give to Caesar's what is Caesar's. Who said that last time? When that doesn't take place. And you can be aware that's a long way off. So yes, selling a spirituality is absolutely necessary. And why is it? Because we still are meeting the demands of this monster. We still have to go to work. You know what I'm saying? We still have to care for ailing people, all these things we do from day to day. The sixth house of Virgo, your day-to-day routine. Going to school, going to work, cooking, cleaning. You can't even focus on parts of your spirituality because you're too busy meeting the demands of this physical world, man. You can't meet those demands of God and the rules associated with this. Half of us, I'll say, don't even know the rules. to residing in this particular realm and keeping our spirit in this vessel for an appointed time. We don't even know the rules. The awakening is us awakening to what this realm really is, how we relate to it, and the things that we need to do in order to be successful while we are here. I hope I made that make sense. I'm going to get off this live now because I got to go talk to this chick that interrupted me and threw me all off. But I thank you. I'll probably be back later on to talk to y'all. Bye-bye.